Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast and the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here today. And we are going to be talking about narcissistic smear campaigns. This is just a very interesting topic, one that came up with one of the dads in my coaching this week and how to deal with it. We're going to talk about what it is, the tactics, and how we deal with it. But before we do that, I just want to welcome one new member this week to the Divorced Advocate community. That is Lewis. Welcome, Lewis, to the community. If you are not part of it yet, check out the divorcedadvocate.com website and click on the membership page and try it for free for 7 full days. Check out the group meetings, check out the divorce quiz, check out the app where it's got 50 plus different courses and other exercises to help you work through what you're going through at the moment. So check that out at thedivorcedadvocate.com. Become a member. We would love to see you and provide you the support that you deserve going through this challenging time. Okay, let's talk about narcissistic smear campaigns, what it is, tactics, and how to deal with it. I'm taking this directly from an awesome article at choosingtherapy.com written by Kaytlyn Gillis. Kaytlyn Gillis at choosingtherapy.com. She goes into extensive detail here, and we're going to review this article and share it with you. I thought it was incredibly pertinent. Came up with one of our members this week who is combating an ex. Now, whether or not she is narcissistic or not, we don't know because we don't make psychological analysis or any kind of a therapeutic diagnosis here because we are not trained to do that. But this really doesn't matter if it's somebody with NPD or not. It applies to any ex that might be advocating or engaging in a smear campaign. And so narcissistics will use this to discredit another person by hijacking the narrative of the relationship after it's ended. And they do it by spreading lies or creating embellishments about their victim in order to destroy the person's reputation. And it's pretty common. It's pretty common behavior with people with NPD, particularly after and when they realize that they've lost control over the person in the relationship. And so what exactly is a narcissistic smear campaign? It's when the narcissist manipulation tactic used to harm, it is a narcissistic manipulation tactic used to harm a person's reputation. And this is the big one, is it's meant to isolate them from their support network. And while this method is commonly used by those with narcissistic personality disorder, smear campaigns are not that different from typical efforts to slander an individual. We see this between politicians right now during the election season that we're going through and the year ahead that we've got coming up with a general election as well. However, one conducted by a narcissist will be vindictive and persistent, and often is exactly what a narcissist does at the end of a relationship. So let's talk about the 6 elements of a narcissistic smear campaign. And it's often conducted by a vindictive narcissist who's seeking revenge against their victim. Usually they're angry at the person for ending the relationship, like I said, or doing something that makes them feel wrong. So this doesn't have to happen at the end of a relationship. It can happen during a relationship. And this is something to pay attention to also if you are in a relationship and somebody's doing this to you during a relationship. It might be an indication that they do or fall on the spectrum of NPD. and so they do it in order to villainize the victim by using lies, exaggerations, embellishments of the truth to instill doubt about the victim's reputation among others. The first of the elements is it's vengeful. It's very vengeful. There's almost always a perceived injury, such as a threat to their pride, that causes a narcissist to engage in the smear campaign. The second is it's done overtly. So this isn't something that is done just quietly. Their behavior is often excessive, and the campaigns are much more than occasionally talking behind someone's back. They're persistent and consistent acts to harm another's reputation. So this is malicious. And that's my next point. In the next element of the narcissistic smear campaign is it's done purposely. Narcissist knows what they're doing. Their actions are not done by mistake. And despite what they might be saying, that they're just concerned, or they just have some concern, or they're worried about something, they'll use the kids often with this, like, oh, I'm worried about the kids, etc. This is done purposely, and it is intentional. It is also, and this is the fourth point, it is persistent. Even when there is backlash, even when people might not believe them or trust them on it, they're persistent and they're consistent acts to harm another, their behavior will continue to persist and will not stop. The fifth element is it contains narcissistic projection. Now, I'm not going to go specifically into what narcissistic projection is, but if you are familiar and understand, many with NPD traits project their bad qualities onto another. If they lie and steal, they accuse the target of doing those things. So this might show up in where they're saying stuff about how you're parenting, or what you're parenting, or what you might be doing in your life, and making accusations about you. Often, and I found this now in the subsequent years of dating post-divorce, that when somebody comes up with what happened to with an answer to what happened in your marriage, and the first thing they say is, well, he's a narcissist, then I almost inevitably and almost to a T every single time know that individual probably is somewhere on that NPD spectrum themselves, if that's the first thing that they come up with. So again, another thing to pay attention to, maybe if you're still in your relationship and this person is saying and casting accusations to you. Actually, just not long ago, I had a guy that was just devastated that connected with me and the community, wondering if he was narcissistic, because his was his ex at the time now. But when we talked, I don't think she was yet. And he was devastated to think that maybe was the reason. And obviously he was very conscientious about his marriage and not wanting it to end. And so I got him in touch with Jason Matthews. If you have not listened to this podcast earlier about Narcissism with Jason Matthews, who is a self-proclaimed recovering narcissist, it's a great one to listen to previously. And he talks about all the specific details of being a narcissist, coming from a narcissist. But this is one of those things that he talks about, is this projection thing, that they're putting lots of their traits onto other people, where it is them that are actually being the ones that are lying or stealing or cheating or doing whatever it might be. The last element of a narcissistic smear campaign is it is very calculated. They know who they can and can't manipulate in their smear campaign, and no person is off limits. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. Family members, work, children, whoever it might be, but they usually have an idea of who will believe what lies, and so they're going to manipulate and exploit those specific areas. Why do narcissists use smear campaigns? There's lots of reasons why they might do it. They often vary depending on the nature of the relationship with the victim, and usually they revolve around a need for revenge, or a goal to discredit the target, or the narcissist's own lack of compassion and empathy. Empathy is, for a narcissist, something that they just cannot experience. They have no ability to empathize with other people. which is the telltale sign of somebody if they actually are a narcissist or not. If they have absolutely zero empathy for other people, they're likely pretty well on that spectrum of NPD. So let's talk about some of the reasons why a narcissist may use a smear campaign. The first one being to protect their image. It's used to protect the facade that they have going on. It's usually, sometimes I would say, most oftentimes due to low self-esteem and self-worth, or to avoid or decrease any narcissistic injury they may have experienced. Often it's the case that a narcissist has or was raised by a narcissist, and the offspring of a narcissist will typically either grow up as a narcissist or grow up as a codependent, which then a narcissist is a perfect match for, because there's this unhealthy dynamic that works out with that. So the first reason why is they're trying to protect that image. The second is to maintain control. They have to, and this is a tough one because narcissists typically have control issues, and a smear campaign may be used as a way to remain in control of the situation. If they feel they are losing power over a person, they will
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Jude with a quick reminder about the Divorced Advocate Foundation for Fathers, which is our nonprofit that helps dads through divorce with legal education, free or reduced cost coaching, and mental health resources. If you own a business or know someone who does, there's an easy way to help by connecting credit card processing through our partner program. Part of the fees go straight to the foundation with no added cost to the business, and 98% of businesses are actually able to save money on their processing fees. It's a win-win. So if you know a business that accepts credit cards, get them in touch with me by sending a warm introduction email to jude@thedivorcedadvocate.com, or give me a call directly at 720-255-1021. This can cause the narcissist to go full force into a smear campaign in order to try to convince others of their side. Now, they're also trying to control their emotions because shame is something that is coming up for them all of the time. So not only are they controlling the environment and the situation and the person, is they're trying to control their own feelings from coming up, which if we talk, if you listen to the episode with Jason Matthews about the recovering narcissist, that is the number one thing that's going on in their lives, is they're trying to control the shame that is coming up, and it literally it is overwhelming and an all-consuming thing for them all day long, is to be able to have to push down that shame so that it doesn't come up and they have to deal with it. So they're trying to maintain control. Another reason a narcissist will use a smear campaign is to appear like the victim. Many people with narcissistic traits believe they are doing what they need to do and aren't behaving inappropriately. Such is the case of ending a relationship or friendship. A narcissist feels that they are the ones being victimized, and a smear campaign is used to further this false narrative they have been wrong. So the other part of this is they truly believe what they are saying and what they are doing is real and is the truth. And this is the thing that when we're talking in group meetings or in private coaching, is you literally cannot rationalize with it because you cannot think that way. They believe this, whether or not it is a reality or not, it is their reality. So they're trying to appear like the victim. They actually feel like the victim. The next way, or the next reason, is to get revenge. When the person with NPD traits feels wrong, a smear campaign can be used to get revenge on the person for any perceived offense. Whether they do this by making a victim look bad to their boss, other family members, the court system, or the social circle, the narcissist creates a sense of doubt about the individual as a part of their efforts for revenge. And the last reason that they may use a smear campaign is to accomplish a goal or victory. Not all smear campaigns happen at the end of a romantic relationship, like I mentioned earlier. Some occur during the relationship. Some occur in the workplace, especially if one has a boss or a coworker with narcissistic traits. For example, office smear campaigns achieve a goal of making the narcissist look good and their coworkers look bad. So this is not something that is relegated to romantic relationships, as you may know or may not know. Just as any personality disorder is not shows up everywhere in somebody's life, whether that's NPD, codependency, or one of the other ones that is a challenge. Let's talk about examples of a narcissistic smear campaign so that you're aware. A narcissistic smear campaign can occur in any kind of relationship, like I said, no matter the type, friendship, romantic, office, familial. No one's safe from the vengeful efforts. Families targeting their own family is not off limits, particularly when they feel wronged. The narcissistic parent might use a smear campaign against an estranged child or the family scapegoat. Now, there's something called the family scapegoat in the environment around narcissistic personality disorder. It is the one child that is the one that gets blamed for everything that is happening in the family. And it's something that the narcissist uses in order to scapegoat, in order to put that person down. It's a terrible, awful thing. It is demeaning and just damaging to a child. And they do it in order to distract others from the family dysfunction or to discredit any allegations of abuse or trauma. So this is an example would be a parent talking about how bad one of their kids is or what their kids does, or smearing that kid or talking bad about that kid to others or other parents or their teachers or the courts or something else. It's just really sick and screwed up. Another example of a smear campaign, a narcissistic smear campaign, is in romantic relationships. And this is probably the most recognizable one that occurs against the narcissist's ex-partner. And this is often done as an act of revenge, as the narcissist feels injured by this person ending the relationship. An example is the ex-partner will smear a person in an attempt to discredit them as a parent. They'll create lies in court, and they'll try to turn others in the family and circle of friends against the victim. It's much more than breakup drama or a high conflict divorce, as it is often labeled and thus commonly excused. Now, this is the biggest challenge because the court system is not structured to deal with this, to recognize this, and to understand this. CFIs, the court investigators, the parental responsibility evaluators do not know and do not understand how to deal with this. So what happens oftentimes, and I've heard this so many times, it's ridiculous. Oh, you just don't get along, or this is just a high conflict divorce, etc. It is not. It is much more insidious. It is much more calculated than that. But oftentimes you're going to get the courts telling you this. You're going to get attorneys telling you this. You're going to get investigators telling you this. Why can't you just get along? Use the Talking Parents app, or use the Our Family Wizard, or this or that, or go to, the best one is court-ordered co-parenting classes. Well, this is just not going to work if one person is not co-parenting. So just be aware of that. You're not crazy. Another example of a narcissistic smear campaign is with friendships. Sometimes a narcissist may use a smear campaign against a friend in order to discredit and isolate them. The narcissistic friend will go out of their way to hurt the reputation of a friend who they feel has shamed them in some way. While many who are not familiar with this tactic often brush it off as normal drama, a smear campaign is a severe form of bullying. So again, we talked about the examples of this before. Work relationships. An narcissistic coworker may use a smear campaign against a colleague or office mate to elevate their position or reputation within the workplace. And similarly, a narcissistic boss could spread rumors about an ex-employee to prevent them from succeeding in their new role, or with the goal of making them look bad to other staff or upper management. A last one is religious or spiritual cults sometimes, and it's very common for cults to use smear campaigns against someone they feel is putting the faith, quote unquote faith, right, at risk by speaking out against them. And they also may use quote behavior modification on current members in order to create a mutual and shared sense of doubt and disdain against the person who has left the cult. So that's there's typically within the cult environment, there is one person that is the leader that, or more people, one or more that are in leadership that have MPD that are utilizing these smear campaigns against other existing members or people who have left the cult. 8 tips. Let's talk about the 8 tips for dealing with a narcissistic smear campaign. This is what you can do, and this is what we're going to finish up on here, is how to deal with this now that we know what it is and what the tactics are. How you respond to a smear campaign can make all the difference in whether or not it continues to escalate. Although you may feel angry, humiliated, and helpless, you must not engage. Let me say that again. You must not engage. Staying distant from the narcissist allows you to maintain a healthy mental state. Remember, you've decided to cut this person off for a reason. It's important to take that into consideration when you're determining how to respond. You do not want the same unhealthy relational dynamic to be happening post-divorce that was happening during your marriage. So you need to take these tips into consideration in how not to engage. So these are the 8 ways to deal with this narcissistic smear campaign. The first is don't feed into their manipulation. It sounds really difficult, and it is really difficult, but you got to stay calm and collected when dealing with them because that's absolutely critical. Sometimes if someone refuses to react, this can help stop a smear campaign in its tracks. At the very least, it will usually prevent it from getting worse. Fighting back against the campaign can trigger narcissistic rage, which will only increase the narcissist's desire to maintain their vengeful efforts. They will continue and they will continue. Like I said earlier, it's done purposefully, and it's done in a calculated way. So if you're not engaging, if you're refusing to react, now it's not saying that and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about some ways. It's not saying that you're going to just roll over and say that this is okay. You're just not going to react to it. The second way to deal with it is don't try to persuade others. And this can be really, really frustrating as a victim of a smear campaign, because unfortunately trying to persuade someone that the information they're being fed is false can have the opposite effect of making you look like the vindictive one. Those who believe a narcissistic's lies are likely not your true friends. So again, you've probably heard me say this, and definitely if you're in group meetings, you heard me say this, how people show up and deal with your divorce or your ex who might be smearing you or saying things is more of a reflection on them than it is on you. So how they show up and what they say and how they do it and how they handle it is a reflection of them, not necessarily what it is that you're doing or how you're showing up. And now the only caveat to this is if you have kids and stuff is being said to your kids. Now, depending upon the age appropriate way in which, depending on their age, there is an age appropriate way in which you can address this stuff without bad mouthing your ex and without getting into the nitty gritty of this, in just saying stuff like, I'm sorry that your mom is talking about this stuff that's not for kids, and that I'm sorry, and I will take care of it, and I will talk about it with your mother. Maybe if they're a little bit older and they come to you and they have questions, and you can talk about things in a little more of a detail, but you're not going to be able to try to persuade things. You're not persuading anybody to be on your side. You're not persuading them that your ex is bad. You're just simply stating the facts and sharing what might be the response to some of this smear campaign, the facts that will show that that's in fact not true. On that note, the third point in dealing with it is pick your battles. And so if the narcissist is making claims about your children, family, or employment, These are important to address, like I just said. Everything else, such as lies that you have an addiction or some other nonsense, you just simply ignore it. Some of the babble that comes out, just ignore it. There's no reason to engage in it. Eventually, their lies will catch up to them and their vindictive behaviors will shine through. I know this is hard to believe, especially if you're going through this right now, that the lies are always come to light, and there's always the truth always comes out, and that's hard to believe. It has been my experience, and I've seen this happen quite often. It might not happen in the time frame that we want it, but the lies always get exposed, and the truth always comes out. The next tip for dealing with the narcissistic smear campaign is model good behavior. Whether it's remaining a positive example to your children or just choosing to avoid stepping to the narcissist level, conducting yourself professionally and respectfully at all times is necessary. If you bash the person, others will question if what they are hearing is true. So if you're not showing up in the way that you're supposed to, if you're starting to engage in this and react to this, people are going to look at you and say, maybe there's something true to this. If you stay above the fray and you keep calm, then that's not going to be the case. The next way to deal with it is stay true to yourself. This is crucial. The narcissist is doing everything they can to get you to react. It's a control thing. Remember, it's a control. They're losing control of you. So they're trying to get you to react in order to justify their claims of you being crazy or bipolar or selfish or whatever it is their claim is. So don't give them the satisfaction of reacting to their claims. Remember, you have your agency and your power. Keep your power. Don't give it away to somebody else. The next way to deal with it is absolutely seek support from others. Staying in contact with loved ones provides you with much needed support and guidance. However, cease contact with mutual friends or colleagues who are acting as narcissistic enablers or what's called flying monkeys, right? That comes from the Wizard of Oz, where she sends them off and they're the flying monkeys doing her bidding. So don't deal with the flying monkeys, which I just love. The flying monkeys are going to be the ones that are out there gossiping, meeting and gossiping, spreading more rumors, and not coming to you and having a mature conversation. So don't deal with the flying monkeys. Focus your energy on staying close to those who truly support you. And when you learn about the nasty things being said about you, you will need someone to lean on. Friends and family who are not part of the narcissistic attempts at triangulation are the best resources. That is one of the main reasons why we have the divorced advocate community here, why we have our group meetings, why we have all of the resources here behind the membership wall and on the app so that you can work through this stuff. You can do the journaling. You can meet with other guys. We've got, we work in conjunction with some cluster B narcissistic support organizations that help you with this, because this can be very insidious and you can make you feel like you're crazy if you don't get the support that you need. Okay, the seventh way to deal with the narcissistic smear campaign is limit unnecessary communication. If you're able, going no contact with the person who is smearing you is the best course of action. Now, obviously, if you have kids, this isn't possible, but you can limit it. If you must have contact with them, there will inevitably be times when you will have to engage with them. And in these situations, only communicate when necessary and make your response emotionless and brief, remain professional and concise. And there's something called the gray rock communication style. It's like you're talking to a gray rock. It's just plain. You're talking to the rock and you're only giving the facts. You're only giving what you need. You're not putting any emotions in it. You're keeping it emotionless. You're keeping it brief. Remain professional and concise to what you need to be talking about. The gray rock, if you don't know what it is, look it up. The gray rock communication method is the best way to go with these folks. And the last way to deal with the narcissistic smear campaign is consider therapy. You are being victimized through this process. So the results can be symptoms of anxiety, depression. If you're struggling with these impacts, find some professional support that can help you learn ways to manage these feelings and build communication skills. And it also will encourage you to empower yourself. Like I said, during this troubling time, there are different ways to find the right therapist, and using an online therapist directly can make the process simpler. Also, in our community, We have resources around some of the good therapists that are out there around the country that can help you to deal with some of this stuff. So, in my experience working with survivors of dysfunctional and toxic relationships, a smear campaign is a very real and traumatic event for the target. The advice I give to clients often corresponds with many of the suggestions listed in this article that I just quoted, but it's an unfair burden to place on people who are already weakened from abuse. My advice to everyone is to pay attention when someone seems angry and out for revenge. Talking about their painful experience is one thing. Bashing another cruelly is unacceptable. While not all smear campaigns are as obvious, being mindful of how someone conducts themselves in regard to another person can help prevent the spread of cruel misinformation. So make sure to protect yourself. Make sure to get your help. I hope that this podcast, this episode around the narcissistic smear campaigns, what it is, the tactics, and how to deal with it was helpful to you. Again, we've got several episodes that are previous to this about narcissism. Go back, listen to them. The one with Jason Matthews is particularly interesting. The full one is on our membership site. It's almost 2 hours long, where we talk about everything in specific detail of how to deal with a narcissist. This was coming from a self-professed recovering narcissist. So check that one out. If you found some value in this, please share it far and wide. Give us a star rating, give us some comments on whatever podcast platform you're listening to or you're watching this on. Let's just spread this far and wide and give every divorced or divorcing dad the support that they need. I sincerely appreciate you listening to this episode this week. I look forward to talking to you next week. God bless. To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.